Alrighty, I think we're live. Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30 in London, to 8:31, sorry. And we're ready to start. I think maybe just one more minute to give everybody time to join. We have all the speakers ready. Just give us 1 minute probably to allow everybody to join. Well, it says 32 minutes on my clock, so let's go with that. Again, good morning, afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. Good night, Ryan, for example, who is in the US. We have a session today to talk about a day in life of a critical environment technician at Microsoft. And we do have quite a packed agenda. My name is Elena Simonova. I'll be your host today. The agenda is as follows. So we'll start with a welcome, and feel free to put in the chat where you're from, what time is it for you right now that you're joining this meeting. I'll talk a little bit about the Datacenter Academy because the session is presented by the Datacenter Academy at Microsoft, and we'll go through the high-level overview of roles in a data center with specifics, zoom into the CET, Critical Environment Technician, and then we'll hear from our speakers about their days in life, what challenges they're facing, what do they do every day, and then we'll have some time, hopefully, at the end for Q&As. But definitely, please feel free to use the chat for questions. I'll be picking up those questions from the chat and relaying them to the speakers. So the Data Center Academy mission is to ensure every person has access to technology, skills, and opportunity to pursue those in-demand jobs in the changing world. And we organized this virtual one today and a few others a few weeks ago, and then there's another one next week. The purpose is pretty much to create opportunities, for you, for attendees, to learn more about the data center industry, the jobs, the career opportunities, and hear firsthand from people that are working in data centers. We would like to demystify some of the assumptions as well. And we want to reinforce the commitment, our commitment to bridging the gap between the education and the industry, ultimately creating the continuous talent pipeline that supports all of the professional developments for individuals in the tech industry. Now, let me introduce our speakers. We have 4 amazing speakers today. We have Ryan, Nick, Frank, and Niall. And before I move to our first speaker, I wanted to kind of paint the picture, and I did it on one of the sessions earlier, paint the picture from the kind of a bigger picture to zooming into the role, to the function that we will be talking about today. So if you think about the data center has a life cycle. It starts way before the lights are on in the data center, way before the data center is actually operational, which means that it's a massive industry with different types of jobs, and it's not only the operational jobs. They're all of the other jobs. We start with planning and delivery, so planning where will the data center be built, what do we need there, acquiring land, designing how the data center will look like, procuring all of the equipment that is needed for the data center, all the construction and build out, and then we get to the operational side of it. And obviously each kind of very simplified, but each pillar of this life cycle it consists of a lot of different jobs, a lot of different career paths. And if we kind of zoom into operations a little bit, you see the slide with a lot of acronyms that we love very much, but there is a description of what it is. These are the typical roles in the operations part of data center at Microsoft. Starts with yes, from DCOM, and then DCT, data center technician. We had a day in life of a DCT a few weeks ago session. CET today, critical environment technician, and then DIA, data center inventory and asset technician. These are the 3 roles that majority of hiring is happening. Majority of roles are within those three professions. Just to specify what is a critical environment and critical environment technician at Microsoft. In a data center, a critical environment technician makes sure that the data center actually runs smoothly and safely without interruptions. Pretty much in short, the CETs work behind the scenes to ensure the data center has uninterrupted power, very proper cooling, and very safe working conditions, which basically keeps the servers and services reliable for customers. And I hope our speakers today will talk a little bit more about that. And that was a very fast talk and only 6 minutes for me. That's great. There we go. So I'll move to Ryan. Ryan, the floor is yours in a second. Just a reminder, please feel free to use the chat to put questions. I'll make sure to keep all of them answered. We'll have a Q&A time at the end, but I'll probably pick up some of the questions throughout the talk. There we go. Ryan.
Hey, everyone. So my location, I'm in Northern Virginia, the Dulles metro area. I went to a trade school. Prior to working at Microsoft, I was working in semiconductor, a company called Micron. I was working 5 years there, 3 years at another company before that. So I got a lot of electromechanical maintenance experience doing PMs and recoveries of machines and making sure that the machines were operating at their peak performance. After 8 years of doing that, I decided to apply for a role with Microsoft. I didn't have any data center critical environment specific experience. So I did some of the online trainings offered by Schneider University. I asked ChatGPT tons of questions, Copilot questions. I just used as many resources as possible. There's a lot of good engineering videos on YouTube, and I just prepped that way. Going through that process, I was able to get a mid-level role, not quite a senior position, but higher end mid-level. And during my experience here, I've done tons of training. I'm more hands-on now than I was a few months ago. And some of the work entails identifying alarms, escalating to vendors when abnormalities happen, whether it be with a UPS, uninterruptible power supply, or a power distribution unit, or generators supplied by different vendors. And then we also bring in many servers every single day. During that process, we have to prep for the servers to come in. During that work, we will route power lines and cabling and ensure that our data center is able to handle the amount of energy and cooling that's needed for these additional servers. Some days are PMs, some days are monitoring the building's facilities, and other days are preparing for additional servers to come in. Overall, love working at Microsoft. Everything I've heard about the data center industry was positive, so that allowed me to transition from one industry to another. And then during my interviews with Microsoft, I was asking questions, asking them about how much they enjoyed working for Microsoft, whether they've ever wanted to leave Microsoft, or how they felt being here. And all the interviewers were very positive and uplifting and made it sound like this was the place they want to retire from. So it was definitely a welcoming experience during the interview process. And that's about it for me.
And before we move, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you, and I hope a lot of our listeners as well have been on the session of Day in Life of a DCT and Diet. So I wanted to ask, how do you work with data center technicians and diets? What's the split? How do you collaborate in a team? What kind of tasks do you share? And how does this dynamic look like?
Yeah, so Microsoft is really built on a lot of redundancy. So when something happens, it doesn't usually require drop everything, run over there, make sure it's fixed immediately. It's more of pause, understand the problem, collaborate with other teams, and identify the proper next steps, pull out the procedures that are required for the recovery actions. One of the steps is to coordinate with the data center technicians to identify the scope of the problem and how it's impacted their responsibilities and how we can support them. So there is direct interaction, specifically during outage events. Day to day, like we see them every day, but we don't always work together in tandem unless there's a specific need for it. But during complicated deployments, which are new servers coming in, we will actually coordinate with them to make sure that we're setting things up on our end to the expectations that they have as well. So that there is a lot of collaboration in some situations.
And would that be true that the critical environment technicians, depending on the location, would have a little bit of a different focus, sometimes electrical, sometimes mechanical?
So I know in different regions, we will hire people based on specialties that they may have. In our region, we actually train people to do a little bit of every role. So just because someone is proficient in mechanical doesn't mean that they won't be exposed to electrical or plumbing or generators. And you bring your proficiency to the table and you train others on what you know, and then you learn from others as well. We have a huge thing here called the growth mindset. So constantly learning, being open to challenges, and just achieving and collaboration is huge.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ryan. Stay with us until the Q&A at the end.
Absolutely.
And appreciate you joining the call. You're on night shift today. Is it 3:42 a.m. your time? Thank you so much. Massive appreciation.
No problem at all. Happy to be here.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, Elena. Good morning, everybody. Good night for Ryan, of course. Thanks for attending this live session. So let me introduce myself. My name is Nick Schorel. I'm currently stationed on AMSD campus data center in the Netherlands. My current role is senior and critical environment technician. It involves a combination of electrical and mechanical responsibilities across multiple installations that must always remain operational. A day in my life. Well, we begin by notifying the day shift about the in-house works and contractor activities scheduled for that day. Next, we hold team meetings to discuss daily operations. We review the planning and go through the night shift handover, including any action points for our building. While the team starts with operational tasks, my focus is looking ahead. So what works are planned for the upcoming weeks? Are there tickets that require follow-ups to resolve? I lead team meetings with my contractors to discuss ticket follow-ups, planning, and upcoming maintenance campaigns. Based on the schedule, I ensure all permits are reviewed and signed by all parties. I also create access requests for technicians from designated companies. I make sure all safety inductions are completed. These steps contribute to a safe work environment, which is an essential element of our operations and comes back every day. Finally, I prepare planned collaborations with IT for works that contain either energizing or de-energizing server racks. So that's the collaboration, Elena, also what you asked, of course. So that is what we do most with IT is the collaboration for the energizing and de-energizing. Also, if we have electrical works, IT collaborates with us to check if all servers are ready for de-energization of power sources, so that we can continue with our operations. I want to tell you a little bit about my career journey. So before my current role, I worked as a janitor in a shopping mall, which was totally different. When that company went through a reorganization, the working hours became so unmanageable that I had to leave. Looking back, this was the best career decision I ever made, definitely. A few weeks later, I was approached by a recruiting company. They were looking for a GO, at that time a mechanical focused role, mainly responsible for plant maintenance. So during my first year here, I learned a tremendous amount about the data centers, the organization, and the opportunities within. That sparked my ambition. So when the chance came to become a mechanical technician, at that time a role above the GO, I seized it with both hands and earned my first promotion. So in this role, I went deeper into the specifics of the installations and starting working closely with contractors that are performing maintenance on our site. And then after 2 years in that role, I had gained extensive knowledge of the installations and graduated my internal certifications. And at that time, my senior was in the running for a manager position. So the senior technician role intrigued me, and I was already taken on many aspects of that position. So when the role became available, eventually, I applied and got it, and I was over the moon at that time. So from being a janitor, like earning 2,100 before taxes euros a month, in becoming a senior technician in 3 to 4 years and earning between 5 and 6,000 euros a month. So yeah, that was going up so fast, and yeah, I was thrilled with that. The skills and mindsets. So when I first entered the data center world, I had no idea what hit me. I went from working in a shopping mall to joining a multinational company with like 50 to 100 employees operating inside the data center. But with the support of my colleagues, I found my place, having a growth mindset, being proactive, and continuously learning about how the data center operates through both internal and external training and courses helped me progress into the role that I hold today. And then finally, like a couple of reflections and challenges in which I struggled with in the beginning. So I struggled in the beginning with how much information and knowledge got to me. I was trying to remember it all in one day, which is just not possible. So I needed to accept that and give myself time to learn. It's a fast business, but stay close to yourself and communicate. If things are unclear or explanations go too fast, speak up and communicate. That is what I needed to learn at that time. So thinking I should know everything from day one, that's impossible and absolutely not expected from you. When I found flow in that, it opened my eyes, and in the end, it became to love my job and the data center business as well. So, yeah, that was it. So thank you for listening, and yeah, that was a little bit of my story within the CET role.
I love the reactions from the audience. Thank you so much, Nick. And I wanted to ask you two questions. First of all, so before moving into Microsoft data center, so I see the hand up, but if you guys, if the audience could put the questions in the chat, that would be great. So before you moved into Microsoft data center, did you have any knowledge of tech industry at all?
No.
Okay, amazing.
So it was like I was raised on farms. My family always had farms. I was always like a bit in the technical, and like working ethics was always like pretty hard at that time. So I was not a stranger to picking things up and to moving mechanical machines and have a strong work ethic in working long hours and early mornings. So I think that was good, and that helped me in the beginning because yeah, it was so much that came on when I first started at the data center, and the information that got to you and everything that was going on there. Yeah, it was overwhelming. But as I stated already, when I gave that a place like in my head, yeah, and I learned a lot, and especially about the mechanical and electrical side. And everything that you need to learn, and I think I'm an example of that, you can learn within the data center. I know because I came in when it was still CBRE, so it was a little bit different at that time. That was a subcontractor for Microsoft then, and in 2021, we all got insourced. I know it's the education level is a bit higher now. That is requested from the solicitations, but everything is learnable here. And if you like it, and if you want to, and if you have the ambition, and if you have the right mindset, yeah, sky's the limit here.
Great. It's very inspiring. I didn't know that, Nick, but that's great to learn that. And I have one more question, maybe because I'm not from the data center itself. So what does the ticket mean? What types of tickets are there? Because you mentioned your day in life that you have tickets. If you can share, if it's not internal information, what kind of tickets would that be?
No, I think I can share. Well, there's two types of tickets. Well, there are more types of tickets, but I won't go through everything. But the basics are plant maintenance tickets. That is all maintenance that is planned by our technical coordination teams. And then you have corrective maintenance, and that comes mainly forward from out the plant maintenance or things that the guys found with the in-house plant maintenance, because it's either contractors that perform it or we do it in-house. And all the defects and things that we need to repair that come out of those plant maintenance campaigns, we make corrective maintenance tickets from that. And it's my job then to set that out, to reach out to contractors, either that or we can fix it in-house and we need parts, so I all need to order that. Or request quotes from the contractors for them to come on site to repair those things.
Okay, interesting. I would never be able to do that job, but anyways, it's amazing. Thank you so much. I'll stay with us as well for the question. We do have some questions in the chat. We'll probably keep them for the Q&A at the end. Let's move to Frank. Hi, Frank.
Thanks, Alina. Morning, everyone. Frank Fox is my name. I'm based in Dublin. I've been working for Microsoft on the Dublin campus for the last 6 years. Bit of background on me is prior to that, I spent 13 years approximately working as an electrician across all different aspects of the trade, domestic, commercial, industrial. So how I got into data centers was I was actually building data centers for a number of years, and learned about the roles within Microsoft and the critical environment roles, and applied to become a critical environment technician. And the rest, they say, is history. Never look back. Spent 5 years as a critical environment technician, and I'm the last 14 months as a critical environment technician manager. So I suppose a part of my role is I work very closely with the team. I have both electrical and mechanical technicians. In Ireland, it differs a bit to some other regions where we split the roles of our technicians due to local legislation. So we have electrical teams, mechanical teams. They tend to focus on their primary roles, whilst carrying out training in their opposite fields. They primarily just work in the electrical or mechanical fields. I suppose on a day-to-day basis, my role would entail assigning works to the team. I deal a lot with our planning team, as Nick said in the background there, working with our vendors who are coming in to carry out preventative maintenance. So that's all planned well in advance. You could be talking a year ahead of ourselves here with planning. So myself and the planning team will create a schedule. I'll allocate that schedule then on a weekly basis to the team. The team will follow that schedule to the best we can. Sometimes, obviously, there's issues with machinery breaking down that could throw a spanner in the works. We want to drop everything and go fix that. So it can change quite a lot on a day-to-day basis. So I would deal closely with the engineering team as well, discussing issues, resolutions, feeding that information back to the critical environment technicians. The technicians themselves, I suppose, on a day-to-day basis would be carrying out permitting and issuing toolbox talks to vendors, making sure they're working safely. On the electrical side of things, they'd be carrying out electrical isolation so the vendors can work on the equipment. The same goes for the mechanical team. They'd be carrying out mechanical isolation so the vendors can work on equipment. I'm there to support if needed, if not, and generally the technicians are well trained and versed and do not need assistance. The training within Microsoft is immense. It's as Nick and Ryan spoke to, it's large, but it is very informative. But again, there's plenty of time to learn on the job. You're not expected to come in and know everything from the get-go. I suppose what else would I be doing on a monthly basis? I would carry out one-to-one meetings with my team. So individually, we would sit down, we would discuss our well-being, any challenges they may be facing, what impact we are having as a team and individuals, talking about career development, what kind of career development plans we can put in place, coaching where needed, or maybe providing mentorship or reaching out to an individual to be able to mentor our technicians in future roles and responsibilities. Microsoft as a whole is really embracing AI at the minute, so we tend to discuss AI quite a bit, and there's a lot of training in-house we can take on AI. Company values, yeah, and look for feedback as well, feedback on the team, feedback on how everything's going, basically. So look, it's a very interesting place to work. We've a lot going on. It's very busy. Currently, we have a couple of little projects which are very interesting, which would be outside of the norm. We're installing a hydrogen fuel cell in one of our facilities here. It's currently under construction. That'll be the first of its kind in EMEA, as far as I'm aware. So that's ongoing now at the minute. So that'll be quite interesting. That will supply, with the use of hydrogen, the administration side of one of our buildings for about 6 weeks. So it's a pilot project to see how it operates, see how it runs, see how efficient it is, see how cost effective it is. So that's interesting. We have a gas plant that we're currently building as well. So that's the first of its kind in Ireland. A lot of work going into it, very technical. You know, everyone has huge interest in it. Everyone wants to be involved. So it's great to have it on the campus. And yeah, that's about it for me.
Thank you so much, Frank. I do have like 3 questions, so
Lovely.
stay with me. So the first one, you've mentioned the engineering team, and I wanted to maybe talk a little bit more about that. What is the engineering team? Because I don't think it's on every site we have engineering team, or maybe we do. So you said you're working with engineering team. Can you tell a little bit more about the engineering team?
Yeah, so we have on campus here, we have mechanical and electrical engineers. So their primary role will be obviously the electrical side or the mechanical side. So they'll be dealing with all the technical aspect of things. They'll be looking at our global standards. Microsoft has a global standard to which we have to all adhere to across the globe. So that can vary from how often we carry out maintenance on generators to there could be a global need to upgrade certain parts on a piece of equipment, and it would be the engineer's responsibility to implement these changes and make sure that we are aligned globally, basically.
Okay, gotcha. And you said that you're not expected to come and know everything, but what are you expected to?
From day one?
Yeah.
So day one as a technician, I suppose we could be looking for day one potential, right? So we're looking to see the potential in people. We're looking to see, are you willing to learn? Are you willing to grow your knowledge? Are you willing to embrace teamwork? You know, so whilst you may not be expected to know everything about a data center, we would be expecting maybe to have a broad understanding of in Ireland, for instance, if you're applying for an electrical role, we would be looking for an understanding of an electrical lineup within a data center, or equivalently mechanical.
Gotcha. And how do you personally learn? So you've mentioned some of the innovations and the cool new projects, etc. You probably try to kind of keep on top of everything, all the innovations in the data center industry. Is there any, like, your personal way of learning? Is there any resource that you read every morning, like what's going on with hydrogen or whatever, immersive cooling and stuff? Is there anything that you could share with the audience? Like, I like to start my day with reading that, or catch up on the innovations by reading another, something like that.
Yeah, well, I suppose internally we have a lot of communication regarding innovation and changes being made within the organization. So I tend to keep abreast of everything that's been sent out internally. Again, links would be sent as well, where you could further look into the likes of hydrogen or gas generators or whatever the case may be. You know, that's all provided for you. So you don't have to look too far afield, really. Like a lot of it is provided for you internally.
Amazing. I want to be part of those distribution lists. I never am. Like, I would like to read something about that, and then pretend that I know stuff. Amazing. Thank you so much, Frank. Stay with us for the Q&A, and we move to Niall.
Hi, Alina. If I go on too long, you can cut me off at any time.
No, you have plenty of time. Don't worry.
Listen, great insights there from Nick, Frank, and Ryan, giving a great overview of what it's like to work in a data center as technician, senior technician, and technician manager. My name is Niall Ivory. My role is CE operations manager in Ireland in the Dublin campus. And running the data center it's a collective, and you can tell from the talks there given by the guys. It takes a team, mixed skills, experience, different backgrounds, all coming together to work as one unit, one goal. A critical environment operations manager is responsible for the 24/7 safe, reliable operation of a data center's critical infrastructure, power, cooling, and everything else which goes along with that. Everything which keeps the facility online without interruption. So a brief outage or safety incident here can have severe consequences. So it's a team that makes that happen, not just one person, not just one team. It's totally a collective. At its heart, my job is about making sure the team is best placed to meet the needs of the business, and that means working closely with every part of the operation, technicians on the ground, key stakeholders, the wider management team across the data center. It's about creating the right conditions for people to do their best work, while ensuring that all our core priorities are met, including safety, security, and uptime, and that these are never compromised. These three pillars are absolutely essential to everything we do. The operations manager role it's part technical, it's part people leadership, and part strategic oversight. On one hand, we're focused on ensuring that every system and every process is met. On the other, and to ensure seamless operation. On the other hand, we're focused on the people behind that work, leading teams, driving improvements, and helping individuals grow and develop their own capabilities. And you've heard that from Frank, Nick, and Ryan there already. A big part of my role is captured in, I suppose, in 3 words: model, coach, and care. We hear that a lot at Microsoft. So model is to live the company's culture and values every day, setting the standard for how we work and how we treat each other. Coaching, Frank mentioned, to coach, to guide the team, sharing knowledge, setting clear expectations, and empowering others to take ownership of their work. Because, as I mentioned, it does take a team. And care, empathy, to invest in people's growth, well-being, and success, because the team thrives. When the team thrives, the operation thrives. I personally try to manage with and another 3 core values of Microsoft: respect, integrity, and accountability. So if I'm not displaying that, I can't expect people on the ground, technician managers, senior technicians, to have that values themselves. Ultimately, a CE operations manager is about ensuring that the foundations are solid, that the data center runs safely, securely, reliably, and efficiently. The impact of the role might not be seen visibly day to day, but it's in every uninterrupted transaction, every safe workday, every successful growth milestone the data center achieves. A part of my role is communication as well, and building teams to work collectively. In the campus in Dublin, which I work closely with Frank. For example, we've 6 day teams. If one of the teams is in trouble with resourcing or workload or some technical knowledge skills gaps, it's important that the other teams row in to help that team. Essentially, if one team fails, we all fail. So we're working together towards one goal. A big part of my job over the last 2 years, so I'm in this role 2 years and 2 months approximately, and a big part of that has been recruitment. We've seen a massive expansion of the data center campus here in Dublin. We've had over 50 hires to the CET team alone. We've seen extraordinary growth in the size of the physical data center, the capacity demands on the data center, and the workforce to support that growth. So it's an exciting time over the last 2 years here with the growth that we've had. And Frank mentioned some of the projects and changes that are happening and some of the pilots, which it's great to be involved in. Change is part of everyday work here at Microsoft, and the people that thrive are those that have a growth mindset, which was mentioned already by Ryan, and it's people that adapt to that change that often thrive here. Some key responsibilities I would have: it's safety management, it's uptime, it's team leadership and development, it's standard operating procedures, which Frank mentioned, it's compliance, it's cross-functional coordination. A big one for me is safety. And as we say in Microsoft, we want everyone to go home in as good or better condition than they arrived that morning. So there's a strong safety culture, ensuring all procedures comply with strict safety standards and regulatory requirements. We identify and eliminate hazards, we conduct safety training, and we prepare for emergencies, maintaining rigorous safety protocols. As part of the role, to invest in our staff's growth. So this includes setting clear objectives, providing ongoing training and mentorship, which Frank mentioned, and ensuring the team is best placed with continuous learning opportunities and initiatives. By cultivating a strong team culture, we ensure a high-performing team that can handle the demands of a 24/7 operation and adapt to the ever-changing needs and priorities of a data center. I won't go into that too much. I'll skip on. Some of the skills and competencies required would be technical proficiency, leadership and team management, problem solving and strategic planning. CE operations managers require strong leadership qualities, the ability to coach and motivate technicians, delegate tasks, maintain high performance culture. Empathy is very important. Communication. So CE operations managers must communicate effectively. You're reporting upwards, you're working with technicians closely, you're working with senior technicians, corporate leaders, you're working with external parties, for example, utility providers, equipment vendors and regulators, requiring professional communication and negotiating skills, building trust and relationships, so with regulators, vendors and key stakeholders as part of the job. So ensuring everyone has the confidence in how the data center is managed and how it's ran. A big part for us, as I said, has been over the last 2 years has been hiring and the growth that we've seen. So Frank sort of mentioned what we look for when hiring, and different in different regions, different countries. But key for some data center roles is the technical. But as the guys have discussed, a lot of that learning is done on the job. So initially, when we're interviewing, what are we looking for? We are looking for that technical ability for some people, but we're looking at attitude. We're looking at adaptability and a history of that through their CV. Where have they worked before? What have they done? How have they adapted in their role? What challenges have they faced? Where have they learned and grown? And we're looking for team players. We're looking for strong collaborators, good communicators. We're looking for people with a growth mindset, which Ryan mentioned. We're looking for people that work well together, that treat each other with respect and integrity. And here, with that growth comes great opportunities. So, as Nick mentioned, he started off as a janitor somewhere else, but he worked his way into a mechanical role here in the data center. But there's plenty of growth opportunities for him, which he alluded to. For any technician coming in here, there's technical roles, TSE we call it, so it's a technical supervisor, and that can be on the mechanical or electrical side of the house. We've engineering roles, which Frank mentioned, again on the electrical and mechanical side of the house. Then there's branch offs of them roles, which could be like an energy marshal responsible for the overall governance of energy on site. There's battery SMEs, there's people managers, team technician managers like ourselves, operations managers. We've EHS teams, so that's an environmental health and safety. So there's opportunities for people to get involved with them. We've sustainability teams. So just because someone comes in here as a technician or an electrician doesn't mean that they won't be a sustainability manager in years to come. We've regional roles, again, which people often from Amsterdam, Dublin, or whatever move off into them regional roles to fill gaps there and direct people at a regional level. We've forensics teams. We've end-to-end teams. We've design and build. Obviously, some of the data centers now are a lot older than they were, so we've like retrofitting projects happening within live data centers. So we've like end-to-end teams and planning teams all involved in that. That's pretty much everything I have. Thank you for listening today. Again, thanks to Nick, Ryan, and Frank for an excellent overview. I'll hand you back to Alina there. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Niall. There are a few questions from the audience, and I have questions as well. So maybe I'll start with a question to you, Niall. You mentioned about veils. Dimitri is asking, you mentioned about fails, Niall. I think that all newcomers are afraid of that, but could you tell about a couple of fails you had and how you fixed it?
Well, a couple of fails we've had. What we like to see is like near misses. Like if we have a near miss, it's more important that when we see a near miss, we act on it at that point, because that comes before a failure. Several near misses lead to failure. So it's important that we're looking for near misses in advance. Why did them near misses happen? How did they happen? Is there a gap in process? Was there human error involved? What was the reasoning behind it? Typically, it would be, an improvement opportunity we deem as, rather than, a blame culture. We're trying to find the root cause of the problem and trying to fix it and trying to make sure it doesn't happen again. We obviously, from time to time there would be outages, but again, it's about learning from them outages. What happened? How did it happen? Why did it happen? What opportunities are there to fix that, and how do we share that with other countries within the region, other data centers? Like Microsoft has, it's we've 70 plus regions across 34 countries. There's over 300 data centers. So it's very important, if there's an incident or an issue in one of these data centers, that's them lessons and learnings are shared on to the next one. So we learn and progress, and that's part of that growth mindset culture that we discussed.
Amazing. And you mentioned, and we have Ryan as well. For Ryan at 3:30 in the morning. Anyway, sorry, I just keep thinking about that, and I'm so appreciative. But you've mentioned that there are day teams. Are there night teams as well? Are there shifts? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's a 24/7 operation that I mentioned. When we're at home at the weekend, there's somebody here in the data center working. When we're at home on Christmas Day or New Year's Day with your friends and family, there's somebody here in the data center working, and they're people that keep all these services up and running for everyone else. Excited kids on Christmas morning or New Year's on holiday season, where they're getting their new Xbox or whatever it is and getting them online, or their new mobile phone, and all the services attached to them are connected back through data center. So it's a 24/7 operation, and there's as we move from the day team to the shift team, like this morning when we come in, there would have been a handoff from the shift team over to the day team. What happened during the night? What incidents there were? Is there equipment offline? Why it's offline? Is there a vendor coming in to support that? What needs to happen from the day team to make sure that's supported during the day, so it's back up and running as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Yeah, so it's a 24/7 operation, and that's from security, IT, and CE. Obviously, we've IT breakdowns as well. That could be, a failure with a power supply unit within a server rack. It could be a PDU that's a power block within a rack, sort of an issue with that. It could be a genuine failure in the power supply that causes a trip in a breaker, and that would require that coordination between teams that you mentioned earlier. So that's an IT specialist and a CE specialist going down, investigating that problem. Why did it happen? Okay, was it a short circuit in a power supply? Was it just age and longevity of a power supply, the failure? And then they rectify that and get to it. So it's collective teamwork there and that as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Niall. I have a question for Nick from team. Did you feel like you had to work harder for your position than, say, someone that studied?
Yeah, good question. Well, in principle, I did not, but I'm already here for like 6-7 years. So all the roles that I've entered, I did for like 2-3 years. So in every role, I learned what I was supposed to learn in that role, and so the flow was very consistent, and I learned everything that I needed to know for the role that I'm now. And Microsoft gives you every opportunity to learn and to take your time. And yeah, I loved it. From like in the first year, I struggled a bit with the how big the company was and how much came at me. But when I gave that a place and how it was, and when I knew how it rolled here in the data center, the information kept coming to me and I absorbed everything. And because I liked it so much, I think it all stuck in my head, and I could learn like easier. But I never had the feeling that I had to work harder for it. But I think because I liked it so much, it stuck maybe more. And then because I don't have a mechanical or electrical background, but I liked what came at me here. So I picked it up and then absorbed it all, and then I was ready for those roles, but no, I didn't have the feeling that I had to work harder than, for instance, people who came who are next to me, peers that had the qualifications that were expected from them. So
Amazing.
that's my answer. Yeah.
Good to hear. And I want to ask Ryan, what's the steepest learning curve that you faced when you first started with Microsoft Data Center, and what did you do to kind of manage that curve?
Yeah, so I was really familiar with my previous job. I had gotten really good at it, became a senior technician, was able to like go into work, know exactly what I need to do every single day. So quitting that job and deciding to join Microsoft at a data center that I've never worked at before was just, there were so many new things. And part of it was a little overwhelming. And I was shocked by just how much is involved with what we do here. And it just took time to just take it all in, take it day by day, learn what I could from different people at different times, and then just make sure I'm bringing my best self to work every day, showing up, and now I'm able to do the job pretty well.
Amazing. Thank you, Ryan. I want to ask Frank. The question wasn't addressed to anybody, but I think Frank, you would be great to answer that. Or Niall, is 5 years a usual time span until you get a promotion? It's a cheeky question.
It's very cheeky.
I'd like to know the answer too.
Me too.
Typically, no, I would not say 5 years would be the norm for getting a promotion. Look, it can really vary. There's a lot of factors that go into getting promoted within Microsoft. There's no specific timeline, but obviously the more you put into it, the harder you try, the more involved you are and go above and beyond to impact the team and the business as a whole, the more likely you are to get a promotion. But there is no specific timeline, but you should definitely not be waiting anywhere near 5 years to get a promotion.
Great. And
yeah, I would just add that we have internal certifications. The more you do of those, the more you can put that on a brag sheet where you're able to justify the promotion. So it is self-paced. You control your career through your own actions and what you're willing to learn, how much time you're willing to put into it. And yeah.
100%, absolutely agree with that. Yes. Do you say brag sheet?
Brag, like bragging about yourself, like
brag. Oh my God,
I did this, I did that, I took care of this, I learned this.
Do you have like a list of that you put together?
I will not be sharing that.
Oh, I think that's a great idea, actually.
If I can add something to that as well, Elena, for those promotions, because I saw that when I was a mechanical technician and I saw that there was a senior above me and a manager above that, you have the freedom to work with everyone. At least here in Amsterdam, we have the freedom to work with everyone. So if you see a position that is above you and you want to reach out to those people. Reach out to mechanical engineers, reach out to seniors, reach out to managers, ask what their scope is, ask how they came there, try to work with them, try to learn from them. And just be bold. And you have teams, so you can find everyone in your organization. And I found out that everyone is willing to help here, and everyone is willing to share what they know and take you with in their scope of work. So that is how I became the senior, because I took on a lot of aspects and scopes from that position already when I was one position below that. So when that position came available, I already did a lot of those things, and that was my success for getting that job, because there were a lot of qualified people after that job at that time. So that I really found out that what helped me to get the position in the end.
Amazing.
We also have the career hub, Alina. So
yeah,
we're encouraging at the minute is that everyone completes their career hub, and that's essentially your career development plan. So whatever the next step for you is as a person, and that could be in a completely different area of the business. It could be a sideways move. It could be a move to the next level. But it's, that tool is sort of recommending you're basically uploading your CV or your LinkedIn profile to it. You're building your profile. Your interests go into it. Then you have the opportunity to connect with people for mentoring or mentees. And then part of that is this tool will work through AI. You pull some courses that are available. As you know, Microsoft own LinkedIn, so they offer LinkedIn courses to you or online courses to sort of support your career development and in growth areas. So we're constantly looking for people to, build that, work on that, their career development plan and work towards that. And the job of the manager there, Frank, and myself supporting Frank, is to look for training in the background to also help with that. How does the manager help you get there? We're not there to provide everything for the person, but we're there to sort of point people in the right direction, help people. We have an employee assistance program where Microsoft, there's a budget there obviously, but Microsoft will pay for learning opportunities if the course, let's say, is X amount of money. The early assistance program may pay 50% of that for you to ensure you go back and get the opportunity to train again. So it's constantly opportunities there for people to grow and develop. But it's the career development piece. It's your own career development. You own it. Your manager is there to support you with that. But it's a really positive thing here at Microsoft, and with AI there now in the background, that career hub, I think it's going to grow and be a fantastic tool to help managers help their staff like here.
100%. And on that topic now, I have a question from Linda Lane. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Sorry about that. But so Linda Lane is currently in South Africa working as a data center technician infrastructure team. Does Microsoft provide certifications, trainings if one wishes to move to critical environment? And how big do you think is the gap in skills between data center techs and CETs?
It's a different role. In Dublin, what we're doing is like we've typically taken in qualified, say, electrical workers or qualified mechanical workers who've come through their path outside of here. What we did in the last couple of years, we've opened up an apprentice program where someone comes in with no electrical experience and they literally start as an apprentice. So they spend some time on site working here in the data center, and then they're sent in block releases to and it's, again, this is supported by your team, Alina. It's great, and Gary on the call there. So the apprentices, we've 2 apprentices off in college at the minute, so they're doing their off-site blocks in college, studying the electrical parts of that. So it's a 6-phase in Ireland. It works differently in different companies, or different countries. It's a 7-phase approach in Ireland, and 3 of them blocks, which would be a 3-month, a 3-month, a 6-month, a 3-month, and a 3-month blocks are off-site in a learning institution in Ireland at Sulis. So there's an opportunity for people to take an apprenticeship at Microsoft, work through that, and have an electrical qualification at the end of it, and hopefully we will have jobs at the end of that apprenticeship where these apprentices fall into, because that's a great opportunity. Another thing we started doing recently is an internship where, if we had, say for example, an electrician that's never worked in a data center, has no maintenance experience, no critical environment experience, and their CVs come in, good CVs, and have all the attributes we're sort of looking for outside of that technical piece. So we try to bridge that gap. We're running a pilot in Dublin at the minute where we take someone in for a year, so they have a qualification, the bare minimum qualification to come in, and we're sort of, in addition to that, at the end of the year, they'll have spent the year working within the data center in the critical environment, shadowing and mentoring within the team. They've gone through some of the internal online and physical training, in-person training within the team here. So it's a great opportunity for an intern or an apprentice coming in here to work as part of the team. So not necessarily always have to be qualified, but yeah, there is other avenues. There's always a backdoor into areas for people. Yeah.
Amazing. And I wanted now to ask you as well. You mentioned before that leadership is something that you look for in people, and maybe Frank, you can, and maybe everybody else can also chip in. How do you actually assess leadership on an interview?
Leader, yeah, it's a tough one, but you're looking at people individually, a case by case basis. Where they started themselves, what they've done themselves to sort of learn and grow, how they've helped others. Whether it be an electrician who's worked for another company, but what have they done outside of their actual role? Everyone has their core responsibilities here, But what are we doing? There's tons of E-teams at Microsoft. So what are people doing outside of the norm to stand out? So you're looking for people that stand out or display, you know, like leadership traits, what they've done in their previous role. And I think your reputation sort of precedes you as well here. If you know, we don't generally look at references, but from a CV, from someone's career progression through that CV, you can often tell if they have them qualities and how they talk at the interview as well. They present themselves well. They're confident. They're, you know, engaging. They're giving good examples. When asked a question, it's, you know, it's not a yes or no or short answer. You're looking for people that can expand on them answers, give reasoning behind it, give examples from their past, how they've learned and grown from mistakes, for example. Everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes every week, as does everyone here at Microsoft, but it's how we learn and grow from them mistakes and build. And yeah, it can be a hard one to look at in an interview scenario, but there is telltale signs like that you're sort of looking out for, you know.
Gotcha. Frank, do you have any notes to add as well, as you're the hiring manager as well?
This is starting to feel like an interview, actually, Alina. Yeah, no, look, just to back up what Niall said, it is very much based. It's an individual basis. You know, you're trying to feel out the person. You're getting to know them as much as you can in a very short window of time. So you do the best you can in that situation, and you assess it as best you can. And realistically, in an interview process, that's all you can do. You know.
Gotcha. And thank you so much. We only have 3 minutes left. I want to ask the last question to everybody, maybe, and pretty much, how do you really handle? I mean, critical environment. There's a key word, critical, right? To me, it's like, oh my God, critical environment. But how do you handle the pressure when something really goes wrong, like outage, critical hardware failure, whatever? How do you handle this pressure? Do you have like your secrets, your tips and tricks how to actually work with that?
I think in the data center we have something called EOPs. I know you don't like acronyms here, but it's an emergency operating procedure. So, you know, we have teams here 24/7, but there's teams that, like the shift team, specialize in that. So they practice and drill them procedures over and over again. So it's like us hopping into the car and steering the wheel of the car. They know these procedures inside out. So when there is an incident or something happens, as Ryan said, they probably have the procedure already on a tablet or printed out in the office, and they literally go and step by step and tackle that. So it's a calm sort of manner. They've done it before. They know the drill, and they have it. You know, they're working as part of a team. They're not on their own. They're not, you know, struggling on their own there to make something happen. We have you'd have 2 people going to the incident. You'd have the support of the people in the control room. We have the ROC here in Dublin again, which is the Regional Operations Centre. So that like provides support for the whole region. So it's a collective again, and again, like I said at the start, as part of a team, you have people with different backgrounds, different experiences, and different knowledge base. So it's great when all them people come together when there is an incident to try and, you know, bang heads and solve that as quickly and efficiently and safely as possible to get our services back online for the customers, you know, as soon as possible.
All right, thank you.
I would just add that every company designs and builds data centers in different ways. Microsoft is really focused on redundancy and reliability. So when something fails, it doesn't cause the entire building to shut down. Everything is isolated into sections, and you end up being able to respond smart and effectively because you're not just rushing right into the problem. You have the resources available. You know how to escalate things. Everything is set up for success. So
amazing.
Microsoft does it right.
First of all, you're not alone. You're part of the team, and second, it's built for those kind of scenarios that you're not actually in a panic mode. Gotcha. Nick, Frank?
No, it was flawless. Yeah, I got and especially what the guys already said, like always communicate the teams, the FOC, the operating center. Those guys have the overview of everything, monitor everything during incidents and during the times that it becomes critical. And then the communication between the teams and the teams that are actually solving it on the ground. That is yeah, that's always very important. So yeah, but no, the stories of now and Ryan were flawless. Yeah.
Amazing. Frank, any last addition to that?
No, I think we've covered everything here now.
Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We're at time. We'll be sharing the post-event email with all of the links that we shared in the chat, the learning resources. And thank you so much, Ryan, for bringing some of those links. I didn't know about some of those, and quite amazing. And we'll be sharing the LinkedIn links of the speakers as well, to connect and follow and look at what everybody's posting about. Thank you, and have a great rest of the day. All right. Cheers then. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you all.